So you think you finished the Final Fantasy VII Remake. You beat the final boss, you collected all the weapons and materia, maybe you even got all the trophies. But for the majority of players out there, I guarantee there is still more for you to see and do in Midgar. Greetings Planet YouTube, Kilson here, and I would like to share with you my ultimate guide to achieving a perfect save file in FF7R. There are 3 levels of completion for this game, and for most games. You got your standard casual playthrough, where you get to the end without too much exploration, beat the boss, and call it a day. Then you have your quote-unquote 100% completion playthrough. This category requires you to collect at least one of everything, finish all quests and side quests, fill out your game log, and collect every single trophy. Pat yourself on the back if you've done this. It's not an easy task and most players won't ever get this far. And the third and final category is for absolute maniacs like me that can't get enough of this game. I call it the 100% plus OCD perfect file playthrough, or just 100% plus for short. In this category, we do everything required of a normal 100% run, but then we go above and beyond to make sure we've literally collected every chest and treasure, maxed out all of our levels and materia, filled out all of our quests and side quests, and manual entries and battle logs, collected the hidden missable items, which I'll get more into later, and potentially even maxed out gil, overclocked XP, and other statistics in the game. I thought I would go through my old save file and just share some of the things that I've done and some of the lengths that I've gone through to max out as much as I could in this file and just, collect everything along the way. So as you can see down in the bottom left, I've clocked over 200 hours on this save file, and I know a lot of people have been able to finish the game within 30 to 50 hours, but in my opinion, that's not truly experiencing the game. I wanted to go deeper. I wanted to experience the game properly. We've been waiting years for this remake to come out and for the world of Midgar to be expanded upon, so I really wanted to just take my time and see all of those details and see all of those expansions and not rush through it, hear all the music, talk to all the NPCs, look at all the visuals, and just completely soak in and basically live as Cloud in Midgar. Like, this is a role-playing game. I'm taking the role of Cloud, and I really took the time to immerse myself in it. And obviously with the current state of the world and the things that are going on, I haven't had to work, and that's provided me the opportunity to really step into the role of Cloud Strife, and I'm totally happy that I made that decision. Alright, so yeah, if we just take a look at some of the other things on my menu here, you can see all my characters are maxed out level 50, and if you look below where it says level 50, you can see the experience I've accumulated. I was kind of hoping that would max out at 999,999 because I wanted to see all 9s and see my statistic maxed, but that wasn't the case. It went over 1 million, so now, not on this file, but in my next save file, in the perfect playthrough save file that I'm planning, I will attempt to get to 9,999,999 XP and see if it stops there or if it goes above 10 million. And the same with the gil. You can see also in the bottom left corner we've got over 2 million gil there, and I want to see if that stops at 10 million or if it goes beyond 10 million. So in the new save file we will be grinding and attempting to get our XP and our gil over 10 million to see if it stops there or if it keeps counting. Because if it does stop at 10 million, that would be kind of nice to see those statistics and those values maxed out. So that's the kind of length that I want to go through in my ultimate playthrough. Okay, so if we take a look at the materia and the equipment, all of my characters currently have no materia or equipment, and that's just because I kind of want a blank slate. I'm at the end of the game, I've got absolutely everything in the game, so why not just remove everything from the characters, and then it's a clean slate, we can equip whatever we want for any situation. And I've also taken the time to equip each character with their standard starting weapon as well. So we're at the end, but we're basically at square one and we can do whatever we want at this point, which is cool. With the weapons, with the upgrading weapon, you can see here all of the characters have zeros next to their name. That's because I've literally done every single upgrade that you can possibly do in the game. There's no more SP points to unlock, and it's just, yeah, it's all done. I've got every weapon ability and every statistic maxed out on their weapons, so that's pretty sweet. I don't think, yeah, there's nothing in battle settings that I need to share. I've completed all 20 battle intel reports, so that's pretty cool. That's all the stuff that you do with Chadley. That's pretty standard. Enemy intel also, if you want to get the trophy, you have to collect, or no, I don't think there's a trophy associated with this, but there is a play log associated with it. So you can see enemy intel collected 114 of 114. So if you want to complete your play log, you do have to assess every single enemy in the game. You have to encounter every single enemy in the game, and then you have to assess them as well. And you can see that they've been assessed by the little magnifying glass icon to the left of their name there. But then you can also take the enemy intel a little bit further, and if you look at the battle log in the bottom left, or in the bottom right, you can see number defeated, assessed, staggered, weakness exploited, and struck by limit break. So I have also spent some time trying to get all of these enemies as complete as possible. You can see I haven't staggered an elite riot trooper, for example, so that's something I would have to go back and do on my perfect file. But yeah, basically I want to have the entire enemy intel filled out with all of the battle log options filled out in the bottom right as well. If you go into our inventory, I've got at least one of every single item. I've got 99 of a lot of items. Some items are a little bit more tricky to get 99 of, but that's something we might attempt to do in the perfect file as well. And key items, I've got at least one of every key item. Moogle medals, we will get 99 in our final file as well. Weapons, you can see I've got every character, all 6 of each of their weapons. And armor, I've got every armor in the game, and often I will have 4 sets of armor wherever possible. Some sets of armor you can't collect 4 of, like the Chain Bagel and the Iron Maiden. But for all the other ones that are easily collectible, I got 4 of each because we have 4 characters. So if there was a situation where I wanted all 4 characters to have the same armor, I have that option. Likewise with the accessories, I also have that option to equip everyone with a power wrist guard, for example, or a bulletproof vest, or whatever the case is. As long as it's not a unique armor or accessory and I can get 4 or more of them, I will, so I can have them for all my characters. If you go down the list, the accessory list, you're going to see a bunch of revival earrings. These earrings allow you to come back to life if you've been killed, and you can buy these. So I bought 99, which is the most you can have. Just figured it's a nice item to have in your inventory just in case. And yeah, so that's the accessories. We can move on to materia, and I've got all my materia maxed out. Every single materia in the game is maxed out. I've collected all the unique materias, so every unique kind of materia in the game has been collected. And I have multiple green materias, as you can see. I've got 6 of every green materia. And the reason for that is because, again, if I wanted to equip everyone with fire, then I've got 4 fires for all 4 characters. But then sometimes you might actually want to equip someone with a double magic, offensively and defensively. Like I might want to put elemental fire on the offensive materia slots, but then also elemental fire on the defensive materia slots. So I have a couple extra of each materia just in case I wanted to equip multiple to one player. So that's all the green materia. With the HP up and NP up materias, you can't go beyond 2 power-ups per player. So because of that, there's no reason to have more than 8 of each. So because I have 8 HP up materias, I can equip each of my characters with 2 of them, and that will give them the max HP up statistic that they can get. Same with MP up. You can't equip more than 2 per character and have it be more effective. So if you're equipping a 3rd MP up or HP up, it's not going to do anything beyond the 2 power-ups that you've already equipped. So again, with MP up, I've got 2 for every character, so 8 in total. And then yeah, that's just kind of my materia list, my prerequisites for how many of each materia I wanted to have. And then any materia that you can buy from Chadley or collect off the world map somewhere, all those things are unique materias, so obviously we had to collect all those and max those out. Then we can go into the next tab, which is the music collection, and I've collected all 31 music discs and manuscripts. I've collected all the manuscripts in the game as well, and a bunch of these you can only get on hard mode, so you won't be able to get most of these if you're just playing the normal playthrough, so bear that in mind as well. Manual entries. Now this is kind of an interesting one, but I would consider collecting all manual entries to be part of the perfect file 100% plus playthrough, because if you're missing any manual entries, you haven't explored or played every aspect of the game. So if you're doing a perfect file like I'm planning on doing, I definitely advise that you collect all the manual entries. Likewise with manual entries, if we just go into the map for a sec, and go over to our side quests. We want to have all side quests cleared. Now this is a bit of a weird thing because if you go back and do a chapter but you don't complete all the quests, it will then appear in your quest log. It will show the quests that you didn't complete the second time around. Even if you completed them the first time, it saves your latest playthrough of the chapter. So if you go back to a chapter just to get an item that you missed but you don't complete all of the quests, it's not going to save the cleared quests in your side quest save log. So you're going to have to do all the quests again if you go back to do a chapter. Otherwise, you're not going to see these cleared markers on the quests. So that would be part of the perfect save file. And if we go to the left, you can see there's a play log for each chapter as well. So this is also part of a 100% plus run, is having all of your play logs, all of your quest logs completed for each chapter. Now there's an interesting note here. In chapter 6, there are 2 discovery quests that can only be achieved one time. So if you go back and play the chapter a second time, you will not be able to get the discovery quests again. So even though I got those discovery quests on my first playthrough, when I went and beat this chapter on hard, I was unable to get those discovery quests again, and they're not saved in my play log, which is really annoying for an OCD 100% completionist like myself. So my plan for my perfect file playthrough is to not do those quests during the normal playthrough, and then do them when I complete the chapter on hard, so that I have them in my quest log as well. So that's a little bit annoying. This file will never be 100% complete because of that. But that's no big deal. We're going to get that in our next perfect save file. So yeah, completing all the story quest logs, completing all the side quest logs, completing all of the manual entries. I would consider that as all 100% plus category. Then if we go down to our system, we can look through, not options, but play log. You can see I've got a golden crown up at the top next to play log, and that's because I've 100%ed this whole play log. I've got all the battle intel reports, I've got all his Coliseum challenges complete, all the Shinra combat simulations complete, all odd jobs, side quests, enemy intel, enemies assessed, weapon abilities, enemy skills, manuscripts, music discs. I got all the dresses in the game. I've witnessed all of the chapter 14 resolutions, and I've cleared the entire game on hard difficulty. So it's pretty intensive to finish off this play log. I would say if you're going for a 100% run, this is one of the most difficult things to do, because there's just a lot of replaying of chapters and a lot of details that you have to consider to finish off the play log. So yeah, this is tough, but we are going to be doing that again, obviously. If you go into DLC, you should, for a perfect file, you should have all 3 of these summons. Now, this is going to be an area where some people are not going to be able to achieve a perfect file, and that's kind of unfortunate. But basically, the Chocobo Chick Materia can only be acquired if you had pre-ordered the game before its release. So for the people that want to get a perfect save file that didn't pre-order the game, my apologies, you will never be able to have a perfect save file. But you can just have a modified version of it without the Chocobo Chick. And to be honest, as a offensive tool, the Chocobo Chick isn't very good, so you're not really missing out on much in terms of like functional gameplay. It's more so just if you're a freak like me and you want to have literally everything in the game, you won't be able to do this if you didn't pre-order the game, so I apologize for that. But you can still get the Carbuncle and Cactuar Materias. The way you get those is by getting the digital deluxe version of the game, which you can download at any time. Even if you already have just the standard edition, you can still download the digital deluxe add-on, and then you'll get these 2 materials as well. They also throw in a digital soundtrack and art book just to kind of round out the whole deluxe package. So I wouldn't say it's really worth the value unless you want to have the 100% completion, just like me. So you don't have to buy the DLC, and if you missed out on the Chocobo Chick because you didn't pre-order the game, it's not the end of the world. But if you did get these 3 summons, then you're on pace to have a perfect save file, just like I'm going to do. So yeah. Then we can go on to the chapter selection, and you should see, when you have a perfect save file, you should see a check mark with a hard difficulty on each of these chapters. You can see that on the right of the chapter select there. So yeah, those are just some of the things that I would consider are part of the 100% plus category. And we're going to start out a brand new file, and we're going to get started on this. We're going to take it from the very beginning, and I'm going to be providing instructions and showing off combat tips, showing off how to collect every secret, basically just giving you guys a step-by-step perfect walkthrough on achieving the perfect Final Fantasy VII file. So we're gonna hop into a new file now. Let me close this file down. And actually, before I completely get out of here, let me just quickly run down my trophy list. So I do have 100% trophies as well. The Master of the Fate trophy is the hardest one, which you get for unlocking all the other trophies again in the game. So if I scroll down, you can just see got a trophy achievement for all of these, including some of the hardest ones. I don't want to spend too much time there because I don't want to spoil what some of those difficult trophies are, but we will get there in time on the new file. Okay, so we are going to switch users, and I'm going to go to my FF7 profile, and we'll start a new game. Alright, so right away, once you boot up the game, if you've got the DLC and you've installed it, then you're going to be greeted with this message. Additional content has been downloaded. Select System followed by DLC via the main menu to acquire. So yeah, you're going to need the Cactuar, Chocobo Chick, and Carbuncle download codes, and you might have to do it through your PlayStation Network account. So I'm not going to go into detail on how to do that here, but there are instructions on Google. If you have those download codes, feel free to install those, and then you'll get these additional things. All right, cool. So move past that, and that'll bring us to our main menu. And very simplistic, but very beautiful, and the music is just so amazing. The first time I turned on this game, I just waited on the main menu until the entire song passed by so I could hear it all in its glory, and it actually made me cry. It was a pretty beautiful experience to hear this song evolve from the original Final Fantasy all the way up to this one. So yeah, we're going to start a new game, a brand new perfect file, but first I want to tweak some of the options. So we're going to head into the options, and these are just some of the things that I like to do that I recommend, but by all means, everyone has their own playstyle, so you don't have to go along with these decisions if you don't want to, but I'll just show you what I like. So as far as difficulty goes, we can get classic, easy, or normal. Classic is the same difficulty as easy, but it also removes the ability to attack manually. It kind of does this auto attack thing, so we definitely don't want classic. We don't want easy either. We want to play the game the way it was meant to be played and enjoyed, so we're going to go with normal. But I will say classic and easy do have their uses, even in a perfect playthrough like I'm trying to do. And I'll showcase that later on down in the series. And the nice thing is that you can switch in and out of difficulties without it affecting the overall completion of your file. But we are going to be in normal for most of the time for our first playthrough. Actually, for the entire first playthrough, we're going to be in normal, and then we'll switch up the difficulties after that. Cursor position in and out of battle. I prefer to have these on remember, and basically that just means the AI of the menu interfaces are going to remember what you last selected. And it just makes it easier if you're doing a lot of similar actions. You can just go into the menus and do things quickly without having to start from scratch again. So I prefer that. The minimap, static is really good for telling the difference between north, south, east, and west if you're having trouble navigating, so I would recommend that. Dynamic is a little bit more fun because the map will move around with whichever direction you're facing. So it just adds a little bit of interactivity to the map feature, which is cool. I probably won't be using the minimap that often anyways because I have already beaten the game and I want to have a more cinematic feel and I want to have less things intruding on the screen. So occasionally I might pull up the map and have the dynamic map, but often I won't even have the map on screen. Alright, subtitles and chat log. I prefer to keep the dialogue and speaker name and just all of this stuff on. Like, you can turn it all off if you want. But I prefer to have as much information regarding the characters and the story and the dialogue on screen as possible, because there can be a lot happening sometimes. There's lots of sound effects, lots of music, lots of different conversations happening, and it can be hard to catch everything when you're relying on your ears alone. So just having the extra dialogue on screen can help you to flesh out the world and see more and hear more about what's happening. So I recommend that. We're going to do that for our first playthrough. Eventually I might turn these things off, but at least for the first playthrough I want to catch as much stuff as possible. Alright, and combat controls guide display. So This is more like if you're a beginner, you may want to have these reminders up on screen, but for myself, I'm going to hide them again just for a more cinematic approach. And brightness, I think this game is really meant to be enjoyed in a moody setting, so I want to have the brightness as low as possible. Midgar is such a beautiful place, and it really kind of excels in the dark and the moody atmosphere. So we're going to keep the brightness down, but if you're having trouble seeing, by all means, you can turn that up. Okay, so when we go into camera and controls, camera distance in and out of battle, I'm going to make these as big as possible. So that's going to make the field of view larger. That's going to take the camera further back from Cloud or whichever character you're controlling and give you more field of view and allow you to see more of the world around you. If you have vision problems, I guess having a closer camera distance is good, but personally I really want to see more of the world around me and experience more of the details, so I want the camera to be panned out a little bit. Camera repositioning, if you have this on, it just means that the camera will automatically start to reposition itself behind your character. I don't personally like that because for the cinematic aspect of this playthrough, I want to have as much control of the camera myself as possible. So we're going to leave that off. And for the same reason, I'm going to turn camera slope angle off. That just gives me more control of the camera while I'm moving around the world. However, while I'm in battle, I want attack to target correction camera to be on. So that just means I won't have to think about the camera while I'm fighting. Even though it is not as cinematic, it just gives me one less thing to think about while I'm in combat, because combat can be tricky, especially once you start using shortcuts. You're going to be thinking about a lot of different things, and having the camera not be one of those things is beneficial. So we're going to leave that on for the battles. Camera pullback is great. That provides a wider field of view while you're moving around the world again. Responsiveness, now I guess this is up for interpretation, but I would recommend a higher responsiveness. Low responsiveness is pretty bad. Like, the camera just moves around really slowly, and it can be actually troublesome for navigating and just getting things done quickly. So I prefer 5 is a little bit too intense, so I kind of dial it back a bit to 4, but I would recommend somewhere in the 3 to 5 range. Like, if you don't want it to be too intensive, then go with 3. If you like the intensiveness, then go with 5. I'm somewhere in the middle on that end, so I'll go with 4. Horizontal camera controls, vertical camera controls, you can select normal or inverted. I do not recommend inverted. I would go with normal here. I like inverted when I'm playing like a flight simulator. Then like for my vertical controls, if I'm playing a flight simulator, down is up and is down. That's pretty cool. It kind of feels like you're flying, but for a normal game, I prefer just normal camera controls. So we're going to go with that. This is a more cinematic thing. It allows you to switch around the camera while you're switching between characters, or while you're issuing commands to characters that you're not necessarily controlling. So that just gives you the option to see what your other characters are seeing while they're fighting. So I'm going to leave that on for cinematography purposes. But if you were a speedrunner, you might want to turn that off because it would make it faster to just issue commands without the camera switching around. So yeah, if you're a speedrunner, I would say keep it on active characters, but since we want a more cinematic approach, we'll go with non-active. Okay, this is good. I like to keep my lock-on controls right stick, and lock-on switching, I like switch in order actually, because the direction input can be confusing if you have enemies moving around the screen all over the place. You're going to be moving the joystick to lock onto a guy, but then he might move into a different direction, so it's confusing when you have to do directional input. When you use switch in order, you know that every time you press right, you're just going to move to the next enemy in the battle. And I think that's just better for getting to the target that you desire. So we're going to do switch in order. Combo targeting, free, just provides you the option of comboing multiple enemies in a single combo. When you're fixed, you're kind of targeted on honing in on one target, and that can be effective, but if you have a more advanced kind of combat philosophy, if you've done some work on your combat in this game, you may want to switch to free, because then you can move around the battle more freely and switch from enemy to enemy in the middle of a combo. So it's pretty cool. Vibration and screen shake, I leave those on. These are just kind of immersion things that the game's giving you, like options. The game wants you to have the most immersive experience possible. So vibration and screen shake, they both provide more immersion. Obviously, if you have some kind of medical condition that these things might affect you, you want to turn them off, so it's good that they included the option to turn them off. but I would suggest just leaving those on. Audio, I love music and I love the music of Final Fantasy, especially this game. It's just got an incredible soundtrack. However, sometimes it is difficult to hear people talking, so I'm going to keep the speech volume at 10 and I'm going to turn the music volume down to 9. Sound effects, I think, are way too loud in most games, and in this game, it's no different, so I'm going to turn the SFX volume down to 4. So I'm still going to be able to hear sound effects, but it's not going to be overpowering music, which is a huge important factor for me, and it's not going to be getting in the way of story and dialogue. So yeah, I recommend turning the sound effects way down if you want to hear more music and dialogue. You'll still be able to hear the SFX. Also, music discs count as sound effect volume, so if you're walking around the world and you're really enjoying the music that you're listening to, and then all of a sudden you come into contact with the music disc player, it's going to start playing that music at the same time as the music that you're already enjoying and listening to, and that really bothers me. As a musician, that really irritates me, so I don't want to hear both musics simultaneously, so I turn the sound effect volume down. When I get to music discs, I'll probably switch the volume here so that we can listen to the music discs together, and then I'll switch the volume back afterwards. Okay, but that's good for now. Language, you can choose between English, French, and Japanese. We're going to stick with English, obviously, but actually later on it is kind of fun to experiment with different languages and hear what the different voice acting sounds like. So maybe in subsequent playthroughs we might switch the languages up. But for now, we'll leave that as is. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up the different options that you get when you first start up the game. And now we'll start our new game. Now, we're going to be presented with another option to change the camera controls to inverted. Again, we're going to leave that on the default options. But the cool little thing that you can do here, this is a cool little Easter egg, is you can actually move the camera around to test out the camera controls. And it's just, I think it's really amazing that you can just be in the main menu, listening to the theme, looking at the Buster Sword in all of its glory, right there, just plunged into the rock. And yeah, you can just really see all the different textures and the lighting and the reflections, and the rock down below looks like kind of metallic and really cool. So yeah, if you haven't had a chance to mess around with that, I recommend giving that a try. It's just a fun little Easter egg. And yeah, I love how they brought back the original title screen as well, just the sword sticking into the stone or into the ground. It's awesome. Alright guys, so that's going to wrap it up on episode 1, the introduction to the series and getting your game set up and all your options set up and everything. And now we are going to start the game finally. I'm very excited. And yeah, that's going to be episode 2, so stay tuned. Episode 2 is pretty much ready to go right now, so you can check that out if you want. And yeah, we're going to go right into Mako Reactor 1, so enjoy guys. Kilson out.